So, like, I messed up. Big time. You guys are gonna cringe. This is my Tifa story, and trust me, it's a doozy. Before we continue, take a moment to subscribe for more real-life Reddit stories like this. My eyes scan the screen, each name blurring into the next. Another day, another mountain of applications to sift through. I work in HR. Exciting, right? Wrong. It's mostly soul-crushing. Until today. Today was different. Today, my past decided to punch me in the face. Metaphorically, of course. Though a real punch would have been less painful. The name jumped out. Bold. Arrogant. Familiar. Chad Thunderstone. Seriously? Chad Thunderstone? It had to be a joke. A sick, twisted joke. But no. There it was. His address. His phone number. His ridiculously long list of accomplishments. All screamed Chad. My Chad. The Chad. My stomach did a slow roll. Nausea crept up my throat. I stared at the application, transfixed, like a deer caught in headlights. Or, more accurately, like a nerd caught in Chad Thunderstone's crosshairs. Images flooded my brain. A highlight reel of humiliation. The cafeteria. The gym. The locker room. All locations of epic failure. And Chad? Always the star. Always the victor. Always with that smug grin plastered on his face. Wedgies. Oh God. The wedgies. Atomic wedgies. Hanging wedgies. The kind that left you walking funny for days. My underwear practically became a permanent part of the flagpole. Thanks, Chad. Insults. Genius-level creativity in the insult department. He didn't just call you names. He dissected your soul. He found your deepest insecurities and used them as weapons. And I was an easy target. Glasses, braces, a slight awkwardness. I was basically walking chum for the Chad Shark. Cafeteria food fights. I always lost. Always. Mashed potatoes in the hair. Gravy down the shirt. Once he even managed to shove a whole meatloaf down the back of my pants. Don't ask. I still have nightmares about it. And the laughter. The echoing, mocking laughter of Chad and his cronies. It still rings in my ears. A constant reminder of my less than stellar high school experience. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to scream. I wanted to set my computer on fire. But mostly, I wanted to make this application disappear. Poof. Gone. Like it never existed. My hand hovered over the delete button. So tempting. So easy. Just one click. And Chad Thunderstone would vanish from my life. Again. But then a flicker of something else. Curiosity? Maybe. Vengeance? Possibly. A morbid fascination with the train wreck that was my past? Definitely. I leaned back in my chair, the application still glowing on the screen. Chad Thunderstone. Applying for a job at MY Company. Under MY jurisdiction. The irony was almost too much to bear. He probably didn't even remember me. Just another face in the crowd. Another victim in his reign of terror. But I remembered him. Every single detail. My fingers tapped nervously on the desk. This was a crossroads. A pivotal moment. A chance to rewrite history. Or, at least, make his life slightly more inconvenient. Should I bin it? Pretend I never saw it? Let sleeping dogs lie? Let Chad Thunderstone waltz into my life, oblivious to the karma that was about to hit him like a ton of bricks? Or should I unleash a kraken of regret? Should I use my power, however small, to make his life a living hell? Should I finally get my revenge? The temptation was overwhelming. The dark side was calling. And for the first time in my life, I was seriously considering answering. What would you do? Seriously. Tell me. Because I am officially paralyzed by indecision. Okay, deep breaths. I need to think this through. This is not a decision to be made lightly. This is Chad Thunderstone we're talking about. He's like a walking, talking black hole of bad decisions. First, I need to assess the situation. What kind of job is he applying for? What are his qualifications? Is he even remotely qualified? I scrolled down the application. Sales associate. Oh, the irony. Chad Thunderstone, selling things. He probably thinks selling involves charming people and flashing his ridiculously white teeth. His qualifications? Surprisingly decent. He actually had some relevant experience. A few sales jobs. Good numbers. Ugh. This was not going to be as easy as I hoped. Maybe I could just lose the application. Accidentally misplace it. Blame it on a glitch in the system. Nobody would ever know. But no. That was too easy. Too cowardly. Chad Thunderstone didn't deserve the easy way out. He deserved, well, I wasn't sure what he deserved. But it definitely wasn't a free pass. Okay, new plan. I'll interview him. Yes. That's it. I'll bring him in for an interview. I'll look him in the eye. I'll see if he even recognizes me. And then I'll decide what to do. It was a risky move. It could backfire spectacularly. But I was willing to take the chance. I needed to see him. I needed to know. I clicked the schedule interview button. A date and time popped up on the screen. Next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Chad Thunderstone was coming to my office. A shiver ran down my spine. This was really happening. I was about to face my past. And I had no idea what the future held. I closed the application, my heart pounding in my chest. This was either going to be the best thing I've ever done or the worst. There was no in-between. I needed a drink. Or maybe 10. This was going to be a long week. Okay, so, update. I told my best friend, Sarah, about the Chad Thunderstone situation. Her reaction was predictable. You're kidding, right? She shrieked into the phone. Chad Thunderstone? The Chad Thunderstone? The one who made your high school experience a living hell. The one and only. I sighed. And he's applying for a job at your company? Yep. And you're actually considering interviewing him? I already scheduled the interview, I admitted. Silence. A long, pregnant silence. Then, you are insane, she finally said. Completely, utterly insane. I know, I said. But I have to see him. I have to know if he even remembers me. And what if he does? Then I don't know, I said honestly. I haven't thought that far ahead. Okay, look, Sarah said, her voice softening. I get it. You want closure. You want to see if he's changed. You want to what? Get revenge. Maybe, I mumbled. Don't do anything stupid, she warned. Don't let him get to you. Don't let him ruin your life. Again. I won't, I promised. I'm just curious. Curiosity killed the cat, she reminded me. I'm not a cat, I said. I'm a slightly traumatized HR professional with a vendetta. That's even worse, she said. We talked for another hour, mostly about Chad and my various high school humiliations. It was actually kind of therapeutic. Sarah always knows how to make me laugh, even when I want to cry. By the time I hung up, I felt a little bit better, a little bit calmer, a little bit more prepared to face the Chad monster, but still terrified. Okay, so it's Monday. One day until Chad Thunderstone graces my office with his presence. I've been doing some recon. I Googled him, obviously. His social media presence is exactly what you'd expect. Lots of pictures of him at the gym. Lots of pictures of him with various attractive women. Lots of pictures of him doing Chad things. He seems to be living his best life, unburdened by guilt, unaware of the karma that's about to smack him in the face. I also did some digging through the company database. I wanted to see if anyone else knew him, if anyone else had any dirt. Turns out, one of the guys in the IT department went to high school with him. I cornered him in the break room this morning. Hey Mark, I said casually. Did you go to Northwood High? Yeah, why? He asked, looking suspicious. Just curious, I said. Did you know a guy named Chad Thunderstone? His eyes widened. Chad Thunderstone? Are you serious? That guy was a legend. A legend, I repeated, raising an eyebrow. Is that what we're calling it? So you guys will not believe what happened to me today. Seriously, this is some KarmaServed *TCH level stuff. Okay, so a quick recap. Remember Chad? The absolute tool who made my high school years a living hell? Mr. Popular, the star quarterback, the guy who thought tripping nerds in the hallway was peak comedy? Yeah, that Chad. Well, he applied for a job at MY Company. And guess who was on the interview panel? Me. Talk about a plot twist worthy of a TikTok drama series. The interview room felt way too small, like a pressure cooker about to explode. I was sitting there, trying to look all professional in my blazer, but inside I was a freaking volcano. Across the table sat Chad. Chad. He looked different. Older, obviously. The cocky swagger was gone, replaced with a sheen of nervous sweat that could probably power a small city. So, Mr. Thompson, Brenda, our HR manager, started. Thank you for coming in today. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself and why you're interested in this position at Innovatech? Chad cleared his throat. A dry, raspy sound that echoed in the silent room. Yeah, thanks for having me. Innovatech is, a great company. I've always admired your innovation. He stumbled over the last word like he'd never heard it before. Brenda smiled politely. I just stared. He looked like a deer caught in headlights. This was not the Chad I remembered. And what relevant experience do you have that makes you a good fit for this role in project management? Brenda continued, bless her patient soul. Chad shifted in his seat. He tugged at his tie, which looked like it was strangling him. Well, in my previous role at Apex Corp, I was involved in projects. Managed them, you know? Kept things on track. Met deadlines. Could you be more specific? I asked, my voice dangerously neutral. I was trying so hard not to smirk. He stammered. Well, there was this one project involving spreadsheets. And meetings. Lots of meetings. Spreadsheets and meetings? That's the best he could come up with? I swear, my goldfish could give a more compelling answer. Brenda jumped in again, trying to salvage the situation. Mr. Thompson, the job description emphasizes the need for strong teamwork and communication skills. Can you give us an example of a time you successfully collaborated with others to achieve a common goal? Chad's eyes darted around the room, landing everywhere but on me. Yeah, teamwork. I'm all about teamwork. I'm a real team player. Always have been. I almost choked. Team player? This was the guy who hogged the ball, took all the credit, and blamed everyone else when things went wrong. In fact, he continued, gaining a little confidence, I've really changed since high school. I'm a different person now. More mature. More responsible. Oh, he wants to play the I've changed card? Game on. That's interesting, Mr. Thompson, I said, leaning forward. We're also looking for someone with strong leadership skills. Can you tell us about a time you demonstrated leadership qualities? His face paled. He swallowed hard. I could practically see the memories flooding back. Flashback time. Okay, picture this. High school hallway. Me, a scrawny freshman, trying to navigate the crowded hallway with a stack of books taller than myself. Enter Chad, the golden boy quarterback, surrounded by his entourage of jock cronies. He sees me. He smirks. And then, bam, he sticks his foot out. I go down. Books everywhere. Humiliation complete. The entire hallway erupts in laughter. And Chad? He just walks away, laughing with his buddies. End flashback. The memory was still so vivid, so painful. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks. The humiliation all over again. Chad was sweating even more now. He looked like he was about to faint. Leadership, while I was the quarterback of the football team. That requires leadership. Of course, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. But can you give us a specific example of a time you demonstrated leadership outside of the football field? He stammered again. He looked like he was desperately searching for an escape route. I organized a car wash. For charity. A car wash? Really? That's the best he could come up with? Brenda looked at me, a silent question in her eyes. Should we cut this short? I took a deep breath. This was it. My moment. His future hung on my word. Should I be the bigger person? Forgive and forget? Or should I finally get the payback I'd been fantasizing about for years? The power was in my hands. I stared at Chad. He was a mess. A pathetic, sweating mess. And a tiny part of me felt sorry for him. But then I remembered the laughter. The humiliation. The years of feeling like an outsider. Mr. Thompson, I said, my voice cold and steady. Thank you for your time. We'll be in touch. The interview was over. He knew it. I knew it. Brenda knew it. He mumbled a thank you and practically ran out of the room. Brenda turned to me, her eyebrows raised. So, what do you think? I paused. I thought about the car wash. I thought about the spreadsheets. And then I thought about that hallway. I don't think he's the right fit, I said. And that, my friends, is how I potentially ruined Chad's chances of getting a job. Was I right to do it? Was I petty? Maybe. But honestly, it felt pretty damn good. I'll keep you all updated if there are any more developments. Let me know in the comments if you think I did the right thing. Should I have let bygones be bygones? Or did Chad finally get what he deserved? Okay, so a few days have passed since the Chad interview, and things have gotten even crazier. You guys won't believe the DM I got. Chapter 3. The DM. So after the interview, I tried to put the whole Chad situation behind me. I focused on my work, hung out with my friends, and binge-watched a ridiculous amount of reality TV. But then, last night, a DM on LinkedIn. From none other than Chad himself. My first thought was, oh, hell no. I almost deleted it without even opening it. But curiosity got the better of me. I clicked. The message was surprisingly humble. It started with an apology. A real, genuine-sounding apology. He said he knew he messed up the interview, that he was nervous, and that he hadn't been completely honest about his experience. He went on to say that he knew he'd been a jerk in high school, that he was immature and insecure, and that he regretted the way he treated people, especially me. He said he understood if I never forgave him, but he wanted me to know that he was truly sorry. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I was a little taken aback. This was not the Chad I remembered. This was almost human. He then asked if I'd be willing to talk to him. Just a quick phone call, he said. He wanted to explain himself, to tell me what he'd been up to since high school, and to maybe, just maybe, earn a second chance. I stared at the message for a long time. I reread it multiple times, trying to detect any hint of sarcasm or manipulation. But it seemed sincere. My initial reaction was to ignore it, to delete the message and move on with my life. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the fact that he actually apologized. Maybe it was the fact that he seemed genuinely remorseful. Or maybe it was just plain old curiosity. After a lot of internal debate, I decided to respond. I kept it short and sweet. I told him I'd think about it. And then I spent the next few hours agonizing over whether or not I should actually talk to him. What would I even say? What if it was all a trick? What if he was just trying to manipulate me into giving him a good reference? I talked to my best friend, Sarah, about it. She was torn. On the one hand, she said he was a jerk who deserved whatever he got. On the other hand, she said everyone deserves a second chance. But be careful, she warned. Don't let him play you. I knew she was right. If I decided to talk to him, I had to be prepared. I had to be strong. I had to be ready for anything. So, after another sleepless night, I made a decision. I replied to his message. I told him I was willing to talk. We scheduled. Recap for the newbies. I work at this tech company, right? Total sausage fest. And this absolute tool, Chad, has been making my life a living hell. Thinks he's God's gift. I subtly destroyed him at the company-wide presentation. Then I recommended him for a new position on my team. Cue the chaos. Chapter 3. The job. I'm doing what? Brenda screeched. Brenda is my boss. A total badass. Usually unflappable. Not today. You heard me, I said, trying to sound as nonchalant as possible. I think Chad would be a great fit for the level 1 support technician role. The silence in her office was thick enough to cut with a butter knife. I could practically see the gears grinding in her brain. Are you serious? Reddit username? She finally asked, her voice dangerously low. Absolutely, I replied, meeting her gaze. He's enthusiastic. And he's definitely got the confidence for the job. I winced internally. That was weak sauce. But I had to sell it. Brenda leaned back in her chair, steepling her fingers. You know this team. You know the kind of work we do. You know Chad. Exactly, I said, trying to inject some genuine enthusiasm into my voice. And I think he deserves a chance to prove himself. Prove himself. Mark, another team member who happened to be in Brenda's office, snorted. He's already proven he's a complete moron. Mark, Brenda warned. No, he's got a point. I conceded. But everyone deserves a second chance, right? And maybe, just maybe, this is the opportunity he needs to grow. I almost choked on the word grow. Brenda stared at me for what felt like an eternity. I could see the skepticism etched on her face. But I also saw something else, a flicker of curiosity. All right, she said finally. I'll bite. But if this blows up in my face, Reddit username, you're cleaning it up. Deal, I said, trying to suppress a triumphant grin. The rest of the team was, let's just say, they weren't thrilled. The meeting where Brenda announced the new hire was a masterclass in passive-aggressive side-eye. Chad will be joining us as a level 1 support technician, Brenda announced, her voice carefully neutral. A collective groan rippled through the room. He's eager to learn, Brenda continued, clearly struggling to maintain a straight face. And I'm sure we can all help him get up to speed. I could practically feel the daggers being thrown my way. Even Sarah, who usually had my back, looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Seriously? Reddit username? She whispered during a break. What are you doing? Trust me, I said, winking. It'll be fun. Sarah just rolled her eyes and walked away. Meanwhile, Chad was absolutely ecstatic. He strutted into the office like he owned the place, flashing that insufferable grin of his. So, team, he boomed, clapping his hands together. Ready to welcome your newest rockstar? The silence that followed was deafening. Chad, Brenda said, her voice sharp. Why don't you come with me? I'll show you to your workstation. As they walked away, I caught Chad giving me a smug wink. He thought he'd won. He thought he'd finally climbed the corporate ladder. He had no idea. The first week was glorious. Absolutely glorious. See, level 1 support technician basically means you're the company's tech garbage disposal. You answer the phones, troubleshoot printers, and deal with all the users who think their computer is broken because they can't find the any key. And guess who was in charge of training the new recruit? That's right. Me. All right, Chad, I said, leading him to a desk piled high with manuals and headsets. Welcome to the trenches. His face fell slightly. The trenches? Yep, I said, popping the P. This is where the magic happens. Or, where people scream at you because their email isn't working. He chuckled nervously. Right. Magic. I spent the next few days assigning him the most mind-numbingly boring tasks imaginable. Updating software on ancient computers. Reorganizing the cable spaghetti behind everyone's desks. Writing documentation for procedures that no one ever followed. He complained, of course. He complained a lot. This isn't exactly what I expected, he whined during one of our training sessions. What did you expect? I asked, feigning innocence. Executive lunches and corner office views? He spluttered. Well, no, but... Look, Chad, I said, leaning in close. Everyone starts somewhere. You gotta pay your dues. And right now, your dues involve cleaning up Karen from accounting's sticky keyboard. His face twisted in disgust. Karen from accounting? Yep, I said, grinning. She likes to eat Cheetos at her desk. It's an experience. He spent the rest of the day scrubbing Cheeto dust out of keyboard crevices. I may or may not have taken a picture and sent it to the team chat. The best part was, he couldn't complain too much. Because I was his supervisor. And I was helping him. And he didn't want to look like he couldn't handle the job. So he suffered in silence. The phone calls were even better. I made sure he got all the special cases. The users who called in screaming about viruses that didn't exist. The ones who insisted their computer was possessed by demons. The ones who thought the IT department was responsible for their personal problems. One guy even called in complaining that his toaster was burning his bagels. Chad was a disaster. He'd fumble with the scripts, put people on hold for extended periods of time, and generally make things worse. I had to constantly step in and salvage the situation. But every time I did, I made sure to coach him afterward. Okay, Chad, I'd say, my voice dripping with false concern. Next time, try not to tell the customer that their problem is probably just user error. That tends to escalate things. He'd nod miserably, his face red. He was starting to crack. I could see the confidence slowly draining from his eyes. The swagger was gone. The insufferable grin was replaced with a permanent frown. He was miserable, and I was loving every second of it. One afternoon, Brenda called me into her office. How's Chad doing? She asked, her eyes narrowed. Great, I said, perhaps a little too enthusiastically. He's really embracing the role. Brenda raised an eyebrow. Embracing the role? Or drowning in it? Oh, he's definitely swimming, I said, trying to sound convincing. He's just learning the strokes. Brenda sighed. Look, Reddit username, I'm not stupid. I know what you're doing. My heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? You're making his life a living hell, she said bluntly. And while I'm not exactly shedding any tears for Chad, I need you to be professional. I am being professional. I protested. I'm training him. I'm giving him opportunities to learn and grow. You're assigning him grunt work and laughing behind his back, Brenda countered. And it's not a good look. I opened my mouth to argue, but she cut me off. I'm not telling you to stop, she said, her voice softening. But I am telling you to be careful. Don't let this consume you. Don't let Chad bring you down to his level. I nodded slowly. I understand. Brenda looked at me for a long moment. Just be careful, Reddit username. I left her office feeling a little conflicted. On the one hand, I was thrilled that my plan was working. Chad was miserable, and I was the one making him that way. But on the other hand, Brenda's words had struck a nerve. Was I being too petty? Was I letting Chad get to me? I pushed the thought aside. I wasn't going to let him win. I wasn't going to let him ruin my day. I had a plan, and I was going to see it through. That evening, as I was leaving the office, I saw Chad sitting at his desk, staring blankly at his computer screen. So, I'm basically the VP at a marketing firm. Chad? He was my high school bully. Guess who ended up working for me? Yeah, life's a freaking circus. I tried to be professional, I really did. Gave him a chance. But Chad being Chad, he screwed it all up. Big time. The phone call came at 6 a.m. Not even kidding. My phone blasted that obnoxious ringtone I usually reserve for telemarketers trying to sell me extended car warranties. I groaned, fumbled for my glasses, and squinted at the screen. It was Mr. Henderson. Mr. freaking Henderson. Our biggest client. The one that keeps the lights on, the coffee flowing, and my bonus checks fat. Hello. I croaked, already feeling the dread pool in my stomach. Is this my name? His voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear the barely suppressed rage simmering beneath the surface. Yes, Mr. Henderson, good morning. Is everything all right? I asked, praying to whatever deity was listening that his cat hadn't coughed up a hairball on his priceless Persian rug. All right? All right? No, my name, everything is far from all right. I just received a package. A package containing, let's just say, compromising photos. Photos of my daughter. Photos that should not exist. Photos that your employee, Chad, apparently thought would be amusing to share with the world. My blood ran cold. I sat bolt upright in bed, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. Chad. It had to be Chad. The guy was a walking, talking HR violation waiting to happen. Mr. Henderson, I am so incredibly sorry. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I assure you, I will get to the bottom of this immediately. I managed to stammer, trying to sound both apologetic and authoritative. A delicate balancing act. You better, my name. You better. Because if this isn't resolved swiftly and decisively, I'm taking my business elsewhere. And I'm not just talking about pulling my account. I'm talking about a lawsuit. A very public, very messy lawsuit. Do I make myself clear? Clear as a bell. My career was flashing before my eyes. All those late nights, all those sacrifices, all those power suits potentially down the drain because of Chad's juvenile antics. Perfectly clear, Mr. Henderson. You have my word. This will be taken care of. I hung up, my hand shaking. I threw on the first presentable outfit I could find, a power suit that screamed, I'm in charge and I handle crises, and bolted out the door. By 7:30 a.m., I was at the office, pacing in my office like a caged tiger. I called Chad. Straight to voicemail. Of course. I texted him. No response. I called his emergency contact. His mother, bless her heart, said he'd left for work hours ago. Finally, at 8 a.m., he sauntered in, looking like he'd just rolled out of bed. Hair a mess, tie askew, and that smug, self-satisfied grin plastered on his face. Morning, my name, he chirped, oblivious to the impending doom. Chad. My office. Now. I said, my voice dangerously low. He blinked, his grin faltering slightly. Sure thing, boss. He followed me into my office, plopping down in the chair opposite my desk like he owned the place. I closed the door, leaned against it, and stared him down. Do you have any idea why I called you in here, Chad? I asked, my voice still dangerously calm. The calm before the storm. He shrugged. No clue. Did I win Employee of the Month or something? I took a deep breath. Let's cut the crap, Chad. Mr. Henderson called me this morning. He received some photos. Photos of his daughter. The color drained from Chad's face. The smugness vanished, replaced by a look of pure, unadulterated panic. Photos? What photos? I don't know anything about any photos. He stammered, his eyes darting around the room. Don't lie to me, Chad. I know it was you. Mr. Henderson knows it was you. And frankly, the only question is why. He opened his mouth to deny it again, but then he seemed to deflate. He slumped back in the chair, his shoulders slumping. Okay, fine. It was me. But it was just a joke. A harmless prank. He whined, the pathetic excuse dripping from his lips. A joke? A harmful prank? Chad, you sent compromising photos of a client's daughter to the client himself. Do you have any idea how incredibly stupid and reckless that was? He mumbled something about it being a spur-of-the-moment thing and that he didn't think it would be a big deal. I just stared at him, speechless. The sheer audacity, the complete lack of judgment, it was astounding. Chad, I said, finally finding my voice. Do you understand the consequences of your actions? He looked up at me, his eyes wide with fear. Consequences? What consequences? I smiled. A slow, deliberate, slightly evil smile. The consequences, Chad, are as follows. Mr. Henderson is furious. He is considering pulling his account, which would be devastating for this company. He is also considering a lawsuit, which would be even worse. And you, Chad, are about to be terminated. The word hung in the air, heavy and final. His eyes widened even further. Terminated? You can't fire me. I have bills to pay. I have a life. He sputtered, his voice rising in panic. You should have thought about that before you decided to send compromising photos to a client, Chad. Now pack your things and leave. Security will escort you out. I said, my voice cold and unwavering. He stood up, his face a mask of desperation. Please, my name. Don't do this. Give me another chance. I'll do anything. I'll grovel. I'll clean the toilets for a year. I just looked at him, the pathetic, pleading look on his face. The same look he used to have when he was trying to weasel out of detention in high school. Remember senior year, Chad? I asked, my voice soft, almost a whisper. His eyes narrowed. What about it? Remember how you used to make my life a living hell? Remember the constant taunts, the rumors, the pranks? Remember how you made me feel like I was worthless? He shifted uncomfortably. That was a long time ago, my name. We were just kids. We were kids, Chad. But you weren't just teasing. You were cruel. And you never apologized. You never showed any remorse. You just kept on going, thinking you were untouchable. I paused, letting the words sink in. Well, guess what, Chad? The past has a funny way of catching up with you. And today, it just delivered you a heaping plate of karma. His face crumpled. He knew he was beat. He knew there was nothing he could say or do to change the situation. Please, he whispered, his voice barely audible. Please, my name. I'm begging you. I just smiled again. That same slow, deliberate, slightly evil smile. Security. I called out, my voice ringing through the office. 2 burly security guards appeared at the door, their faces grim. They escorted Chad out of the office, his head hanging low, his career in tatters. As they led him away, I watched him go, a strange mixture of satisfaction and sadness swirling inside me. Satisfaction that he was finally getting what he deserved. Sadness that he had forced me to do this. The rest of the day was a whirlwind of damage control. I spent hours on the phone with Mr. Henderson, apologizing profusely, assuring him that Chad's actions were not representative of the company, and promising to make things right. I offered him a significant discount on our services, reassigned his account to our most experienced team, and even threw in a few extra perks. Thankfully, he eventually calmed down. He was still angry, but he agreed to give us another chance. He said he appreciated my swift action and my commitment to resolving the situation. I breathed a sigh of relief. Disaster averted. For now. The next few weeks were interesting. The office was buzzing with gossip. Everyone knew what had happened. Some people were sympathetic to Chad, others were secretly cheering me on. Story 2. Tafobai thinking high school ended the bullying. Turns out Tiffany was just getting started. Karma's a dish best served ice cold, like the soul of my middle school tormentor. This is a 6-year saga of pure, unadulterated, Tiffany-induced hell. Moving sucked. Period. End of discussion. New town. New school. New everything. And the worst part? It all happened right after Dad died. Mom was a zombie. I was just trying not to drown. Middle school. Ugh. Just saying the words makes my stomach churn. It was a fresh hell, a festering pit of hormones and awkwardness. And right there, perched atop the pyramid of pubescent angst, was Tiffany. Tiffany wasn't just popular. She was a goddamn queen. Blonde hair, blue eyes, the kind of smile that could melt glaciers or, in my case, freeze me solid with terror. And from the second she laid eyes on me, I knew I was screwed. I walked into Mrs. Davison's homeroom on the first day, clutching my schedule like a lifeline. The room was already buzzing with the chaotic energy of 1,000 caged squirrels. I scanned the faces, desperately searching for a friendly one. Nope. Just a sea of judging eyes. Well, a voice drawled. I turned. There she was, Tiffany, leaning back in her chair, surrounded by her gaggle of equally terrifying minions. Looks like we have a new arrival, she said, her voice dripping with honeyed venom. I swallowed hard. Hi, I managed to squeak. Hi, she echoed, raising a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. Is that all you've got? My face flushed. I'm new here. We can see that, sweetie, one of her minions chirped. That outfit screams fresh off the turnip truck. I glanced down at my clothes. Jeans. A t-shirt. Nothing special. But apparently, in Tiffany's world, they were a fashion crime. Don't mind them, Tiffany said, her smile never reaching her eyes. They're just observant. She paused, then leaned closer. So, what's your name, new girl? It's Sarah. Sarah, she repeated, savoring the name like a particularly unpleasant piece of candy. Well, Sarah, welcome to hell. I mean, welcome to Northwood Middle School. And that was it. The beginning of my personal nightmare. The next 6 years were a relentless barrage of insults, pranks, and social sabotage. My clothes were constantly ridiculed. My hair was a perpetual source of amusement. And my grief? Oh, she weaponized that. Did your daddy pick that outfit out for you? She'd ask, her voice loud enough for everyone in the hallway to hear. Oh wait, I forgot. The laughter would erupt, echoing around me like a physical blow. It wasn't just the big things either. It was the constant little jabs, the subtle digs, the feeling of always being watched, always being judged. She made my life a living hell. Lunchtime was the worst. The cafeteria was a war zone, and Tiffany was the general. I tried to find a quiet corner, but she always found me. Mind if we join you, Sarah? She'd ask, her eyes glinting with malice. And then the interrogation would begin. So, Sarah, what does your mom do? She's a teacher. A teacher? Tiffany would feign surprise. How quaint. What about your dad? Another minion would ask, their voices dripping with fake sympathy. What did he do? I'd clench my fists, trying to hold back the tears. He was a doctor. Oh, a doctor, Tiffany would say, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Too bad he couldn't cure whatever's going on with you. I'd usually choke down my food, throw it away, and leave. It wasn't just verbal abuse, either. There were the accidental spills, the mysteriously missing homework, the rumors she spread about me like wildfire. One time, she convinced everyone that I had lice. I spent a week being ostracized, frantically washing my hair with every anti-lice shampoo I could find. Of course, it was all a lie. Another time, she accidentally posted a picture of me online that was less than flattering. Let's just say it involved braces, a bad haircut, and a particularly unfortunate zit. The comments were brutal. I tried to tell the teachers, but they just shrugged it off. Kids will be kids, they'd say. Just ignore her. Easy for them to say. They weren't the ones being systematically destroyed. I even tried talking to my mom, but she was so consumed by her own grief that she barely registered what I was saying. I was alone. Completely and utterly alone. I spent those 6 years walking on eggshells, constantly trying to avoid Tiffany's wrath. I changed my clothes, my hair, even my personality, trying to become invisible. But nothing worked.
She always found me.
High school wasn't much better. The playing field was bigger, but Tiffany was still queen. She just had more subjects to torture. I remember one time in particular. It was junior prom. I actually managed to get a date. A real, live boy asked me to prom. I was ecstatic. I spent weeks planning my outfit, agonizing over every detail. I found a dress that made me feel almost pretty. For once, I felt like I could actually fit in. But of course, Tiffany wasn't going to let that happen. The night of the prom, I was getting ready when I got a text message. It was from my date. Sorry, it read. Can't make it. Something came up. I was crushed. I knew it was Tiffany. She'd gotten to him somehow. I wouldn't be surprised if she threatened him. I ended up spending the night at home, crying in my room while everyone else was having the time of their lives. I hated her. I hated her with every fiber of my being. Graduation day finally arrived. I walked across that stage, grabbed my diploma, and practically sprinted out of the building. I was finally free. Or so I thought. You think that ends at graduation? Oh, honey, that's just the prologue. Fast forward 10 years. I'm living in a different city, working a job I love, and finally starting to feel like I'm actually living my life. I even have a boyfriend.
He's great.
He treats me like gold. One day, I get a wedding invitation in the mail. It's from, you guessed it, Tiffany. My blood runs cold. Why would she invite me to her wedding? After everything she put me through? Curiosity gets the better of me. I RSVP yes. I know. I'm an idiot. But I have to see it. I have to see what she's become. The wedding is everything you'd expect from Tiffany. Over the top, extravagant, and full of people who look like they've been surgically enhanced. I spot her across the room. She looks different. Older, maybe. Harder. But still undeniably Tiffany. She sees me too. Her eyes widen for a split second, then she plasters on that familiar, fake smile. Sarah, she says, her voice dripping with surprise. I can't believe you came. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I say, my voice as sweet as poison. We make small talk for a few minutes, the kind of meaningless chatter you exchange with someone you haven't seen in years. But I can feel the tension simmering beneath the surface. So, I say, finally breaking the silence. How's life been treating you? She shrugs. It's been good. Really good. I'm glad to hear it. I say, my eyes fixed on hers. Because I wouldn't want anything to ruin your perfect day. Her smile falters. What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nothing. I say, my voice dangerously low. Just a friendly reminder that karma's a bitch. And then I drop the bomb. By the way, I say, my voice loud enough for everyone around us to hear. Congratulations on marrying my ex-boyfriend. The color drains from her face. She stumbles back, her eyes wide with horror. What? She whispers. Oh, didn't you know? I say, my smile is cold as ice. Your perfect fiancé? He used to be my boyfriend. Before you stole him from me, just like you stole everything else. The room goes silent. All eyes are on us. Tiffany tries to say something, but no words come out. She just stands there, frozen in place. I turn and walk away, leaving her standing there in her perfect white dress. My karma bus was about to run Tiffany, the terrible, over. Metaphorically, of course. Mostly. So, there I was, rocking a power suit that probably cost more than Tiffany made in a month, slinging lukewarm lattes. No shade to baristas, just Tiffany. Walking into this swanky charity gala. It was for underprivileged kids, ironic considering my own rocky start. My company, a tech startup I co-founded, was a major sponsor. Life was good. Like, ridiculously good. Looking sharp, Alex, Mark, my business partner, clapped me on the back, nearly making me spill my ridiculously overpriced champagne. Ready to schmooze? Born ready, I grinned. I actually was. Years of therapy had transformed me from a wallflower into someone who could work a room like a pro. Fake it till you make it, right? The room was a sea of designer dresses and forced smiles. I spotted a few celebrities I vaguely recognized, politicians I definitely didn't trust, and enough diamonds to blind a small village. I was navigating the crowd, making small talk about algorithms and social impact, when bam, my world tilted on its axis. Across the room, near the dessert table, because of course, stood Tiffany. I swear, it was like a scene from a bad rom-com, complete with slow motion and dramatic music only I could hear. Except instead of butterflies, I felt a primal urge to hide under the nearest table. She looked different. Not bad different, just different. Her hair was shorter, a sleek bob instead of the frizzy mess I remembered. She was wearing a simple, elegant dress, a far cry from the cheap knockoffs she used to flaunt. And she looked happy. Genuinely happy. Which, frankly, pissed me off. Everything all right, Alex? Mark asked, noticing my sudden stillness. Fine. I choked out, my voice a little higher than usual. Just saw someone I used to know. Someone important? Important like a festering wound that refuses to heal? Yeah, super important. Not anymore, I said, forcing a smile. Come on, let's go talk to that senator about our coding program. I tried to focus on the senator, on the program, on anything but the fact that Tiffany freaking terrible was in the same room as me. But my eyes kept drifting back. To her. She was laughing, talking animatedly with a group of people. She looked normal. How dare she be normal? How dare she be happy?
Didn't she know she was supposed to be
miserable and regretful? I excused myself to grab another glass of champagne, needing something to calm my suddenly racing heart. As I reached for a glass, I heard a voice. Alex? Is that really you? My blood ran cold. I turned around slowly, steeling myself for the confrontation. It was Tiffany. Tiffany, I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. Wow, long time no see. I know, right? She smiled, and I swear, it almost reached her eyes. You look amazing. So do you, I replied, surprised by my own politeness. What are you doing here? I'm volunteering, she said, gesturing to a group of people wearing matching t-shirts. I work at the local community center, helping kids with their homework. Homework? Tiffany? The girl who used to pay me to do her homework? That's nice, I said, completely bewildered. Yeah, well, someone's gotta do it, she shrugged. So, what about you? Last I heard, you were well, not exactly thriving.
Ouch.
Truth hurts, even when it's coming from Tiffany. Things changed, I said, lifting my chin. I'm doing pretty well now. I can see that, she said, her eyes scanning my outfit. Good for you. There was an awkward silence. I didn't know what to say. Did I apologize for anything? Did I demand an apology? Did I just walk away and pretend this never happened? Listen, Alex, Tiffany said, breaking the silence. I know we weren't exactly friends back in high school. Understatement of the century, I muttered. She ignored me. But I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I was a horrible person, and I treated you terribly. I was insecure and jealous, and I took it out on you. There's no excuse for it, and I truly regret it. I stared at her, dumbfounded. Was this some kind of elaborate prank? Was Ashton Kutcher about to jump out from behind a potted plant and yell, "Punked"? You're apologizing? I stammered. Yes, she said, looking me straight in the eye. I am. It's taken me a long time to get here, but I finally realized how much I hurt you. And I'm truly sorry. I didn't know what to say. I had spent years fantasizing about this moment, about all the things I would say to Tiffany, about all the ways I would make her pay for what she did. But now that it was actually happening, I was speechless. I started then stopped. I cleared my throat. I appreciate that, Tiffany. Thank you. You're welcome, she said, her smile genuine. So, I'm friends. Friends? With Tiffany? The thought was absurd. But looking at her, at the genuine remorse in her eyes, I realized something. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't even dislike her. I just didn't care. Maybe not friends, I said, but maybe we can be civil. I'll take it, she said, extending her hand. It was good to see you, Alex. I shook her hand. You too, Tiffany. She walked away, back to her group of volunteers. I watched her go, feeling a strange sense of closure. The years of resentment, the fantasies of revenge, they all seemed to fade away. Maybe, just maybe, people could change. I walked back to Mark, who was still chatting with the senator. Everything okay? He asked. You looked like you saw a ghost. Just an old acquaintance, I said, shrugging. Turns out, she's not so scary anymore. I rejoined the conversation, talking about coding and social impact. But inside, I was thinking about Tiffany, about how life can surprise you, about how people can surprise you, and about how sometimes the best revenge is just moving on. But fate, being the twisted mistress she is, wasn't done with me yet. Oh no, this was just the appetizer. The main course was about to be served, and it was going to be a heaping plate of WTF. A week later, I got a call from my mom. Alex, honey, can you come over for dinner on Sunday? We have someone we want you to meet. Sure, Mom, I said. Who is it? It's a surprise, she said, her voice suspiciously cheerful. You'll love her. Her. I raised an eyebrow. Is this a setup? Don't be silly, she said, too quickly. Just come over, okay? 6 o'clock. I had a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. But I couldn't say no to my mom. She had been through so much, and she deserved to be happy. And if she thought this her was going to make me happy, I owed it to her to at least give it a shot. Sunday rolled around, and I reluctantly drove to my mom's house. I was dressed casually, in jeans and a sweater. I didn't want to give the impression that I was trying too hard. When I arrived, my mom greeted me with a hug and a kiss. You look handsome, honey, she said. I'm so glad you came. Me too, I said, forcing a smile. So, where's this mystery woman? She's in the kitchen, helping her stepdad with dinner, she said. Go on in, I'll be right there. I took a deep breath and walked into the kitchen. My stepdad, Tom, was standing at the stove, stirring a pot of something that smelled delicious. Hey, Alex, he said, turning around. Good to see you. Good to see you too, Tom, I said. So, who's helping you cook? Tom smiled and gestured towards the counter. This is. He didn't get to finish his sentence. Because at that moment, the woman at the counter turned around. And it was Tiffany. I swear, the record screeched to a halt. My jaw dropped. My eyes widened. My brain completely short-circuited. Surprise, my mom chirped, walking into the kitchen. AITA for enjoying Tiffany's downfall after her dad's company went bankrupt, even though I see she's desperate now. So, quick recap for the TikTok crowd who missed chapters 1 and 2. I was the scholarship kid. Tiffany was the rich, entitled queen bee who made my life a living hell in high school. Her dad owned half the town. She ruled the school. I was invisible unless she needed someone to mock. Fast forward 10 years. I'm doing pretty damn well. Tech startup, sold it for millions. She's at this charity gala, looking like she's aged 10 years in one. And her eyes? Haunted. I saw her across the room, clinging to some guy who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. He was probably one of the last guys in town who hadn't heard the news. Tiffany's dad? Bankrupt. Company?
Gone.
Lifestyle? About to be seriously downgraded. Karma's A, B***TCH, right? I took a slow sip of my champagne, letting the satisfaction simmer. I could have just enjoyed the moment from afar.
But nah. Where's the fun in that?
This wasn't just about watching her fall. It was about letting her know I was watching. And enjoying it. I straightened my dress, a ridiculously expensive designer thing I bought just because I could, and started to walk towards her. Well, I said, my voice dripping with fake sweetness. If it isn't Tiffany. Long time no see. She visibly paled, like even more than usual. Her perfectly applied makeup couldn't hide the fear in her eyes. Oh, she stammered. Hiya you. She actually forgot my name. After all the crap she put me through. Unbelievable. It's you know me, I said, drawing out the words. From high school? The scholarship kid? Ring any bells? The guy she was with looked confused. He clearly had no idea what was going on.
Good.
Let him be uncomfortable. Oh, right, Tiffany said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Of course. How are you? Never better, I replied, my gaze sweeping over her. And you? You seem stressed. Just a little tired, she said quickly. This gala is so draining. Draining on the bank account, maybe? I suggested, keeping my voice light and airy. Her eyes flashed with anger, but she quickly suppressed it. She needed to keep up appearances.
For now.
Don't be ridiculous, she said, her voice tight. Ridiculous? I repeated, raising an eyebrow. I'm just making conversation. You know, catching up. It's been, what, 10 years? A lot can happen in 10 years. Fortunes can be made and lost. The guy she was with finally spoke up. Honey, who is this? Just an old acquaintance, Tiffany said, shooting him a warning look. An acquaintance who seems to know a lot about your finances, I added with a smile. He frowned. I don't understand. You will, I said, turning my attention back to Tiffany. You will. I paused, letting the silence hang in the air. Then I leaned in close, my voice barely a whisper. Enjoy the party, Tiffany. It might be the last one like this you attend for a while. I straightened up, gave her a final, saccharine smile, and walked away. I could feel her eyes burning into my back. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I knew I'd planted a seed of doubt, of fear, in her mind. And that was enough.
For now.
But this was just the beginning. Later that night, I found myself talking to a group of investors. I casually dropped a few hints about Tiffany's family's financial situation. Nothing too specific, just enough to make them think twice about doing business with her. You know, I said, my voice low and conspiratorial. I heard they're having some liquidity issues. Just something to keep in mind. They exchanged knowing glances. The gossip mill in this town was ruthless. By morning, everyone would know. Tiffany's reputation would be in tatters. I went home that night feeling satisfied, but also a little empty. Was this it? Was this all it took to make me happy? Ruining someone else's life? I didn't have an answer. The next day, I got a call from Tiffany. I almost didn't answer it. I knew what she wanted.
She wanted me to stop.
She wanted me to leave her alone. But I couldn't resist. Hello, Tiffany, I said, my voice cool and detached. Please, she said, her voice cracking. You have to stop. You're ruining my life. Ruining your life? I repeated, feigning innocence. I'm just living mine. If your life is being ruined, maybe you should look at your own choices. This isn't fair, she sobbed. I was young. I made mistakes. We all make mistakes, Tiffany, I said. But some mistakes have consequences. What do you want? She pleaded. What can I do to make you stop? I paused, considering my options. I could ask for money. I could ask for an apology. But neither of those things would truly satisfy me. I want you to remember, I said, my voice hard. I want you to remember what it felt like to be powerless, to be humiliated, to be afraid. Please, she begged. I'm not finished, I said, cutting her off. I want you to remember that the world doesn't revolve around you, that your actions have consequences, and that sometimes the people you hurt come back to haunt you. I hung up the phone. I sat there for a long time, staring at the wall. I felt nothing. The satisfaction I had felt the night before had evaporated. All that was left was a hollow ache. Had I gone too far? Was I becoming the very thing I hated? I didn't know. But I knew one thing. I wasn't done yet. Tiffany's downfall was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, I continued to subtly undermine her. I spread rumors about her business dealings. I made sure she wasn't invited to the right parties. I even managed to sabotage a potential job opportunity.
It was easy.
Too easy. She was desperate. And desperation made people do stupid things. I watched her spiral. She started drinking heavily. She got into fights with her boyfriend. She lost weight. She looked like a ghost of her former self. And still, I wasn't satisfied. I wanted more. I wanted her to suffer. I know. It sounds terrible, but after all she put me through, I felt like she deserved it. One night, I saw her at a bar. She was sitting alone, nursing a drink. She looked miserable. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. I walked over to her table. Mind if I join you? I asked, my voice neutral. She looked up, her eyes red and puffy. What do you want? Just wanted to see how you were doing, I said, sitting down. You know how I'm doing, she said bitterly. You're the one who's doing it to me. I'm just an observer, I said, shrugging. You're the one who's making the choices. What do you want me to do? She asked, her voice trembling. What will make you stop? I don't know, I said honestly. I don't think anything will. She started to cry. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry for everything I did to you. I was young and stupid, and I didn't know any better. That's not good enough, I said coldly. Please, she begged. I'll do anything. I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. I saw the pain in her eyes, the desperation in her face. I saw a broken woman. And I realized something. I didn't want to break her. I wanted to heal her. I want you to be happy, I said softly. She looked up confused.
What?
I want you to find something that makes you happy, I said. Something that's not about money or status or popularity. Something real. I don't know how, she said, shaking her head. I can help you, I said. She stared at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. Why would you do that? Because I'm tired of this, I said. I'm tired of holding on to. So I did a thing. A possibly terrible, definitely petty, but oh so satisfying thing. Was I wrong? Maybe. Did it feel amazing? Absolutely. Let's rewind. High school.
Ugh.
Picture this. Me, awkward, braces, glasses bigger than my face. And then there was her.
Tiffany.
Head cheerleader, from Queen material, basically everything I wasn't. She made my life a living hell. Constant teasing, public humiliation, the works. I was the prime target for her and her mean girl posse. Years of that crap.
Years.
Fast forward 10 years. I busted my butt. Got a degree, then another. Started my own company. Small, but successful. I'm talking real success. The kind where I actually get to call the shots. Life was good. Until Chapter 4, The Sting. I was at a business conference. Networking, you know the drill. Then I saw her. Tiffany. I almost choked on my overpriced coffee. She looked different. Not bad, just faded. The sparkle was gone. She recognized me. Her eyes widened. Total deer in the headlights moment. Then she plastered on this fake smile. Oh my God. My name? Is that really you? Wow. You look great. The tone dripped with insincerity. I wanted to vomit. She launched into this whole spiel about how she always knew I'd do well. How we were basically best friends back in high school.
Lies.
All lies. I just stared at her, trying to process the audacity. Then came the kicker. She needed a job. Begged me. Actually begged. Said she was going through a rough patch. My company. Of all the places. The irony was thicker than the syrup on my waffles this morning. A million thoughts raced through my head. Should I just walk away? Pretend I didn't hear her? But the years of humiliation, the sleepless nights, the constant feeling of being less than it all came flooding back. I played along. Acted surprised and sympathetic. Tiffany, wow, it's been so long. Of course. Let's see what we can do. I could see the hope flickering in her eyes. Pathetic. I offered her an entry-level position. The lowest of the low. Data entry. Mind-numbingly boring. The kind of job I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. But for her, it felt right. I watched her squirm as I described the job. The low pay, the tedious tasks, the lack of any real responsibility. She tried to hide her disappointment, but I saw it. I saw the realization that she wasn't going to be waltzing into some high-powered executive role. She took the job. Said she needed anything right now. I smiled. A genuine, honest-to-God smile. For the first time in years, I felt a sense of closure. I made sure her desk was in the most visible spot in the office, right next to the coffee machine, where everyone could see her. Where everyone could see Tiffany, the former queen bee, reduced to a data entry drone. I made sure she knew I was watching. Gave her extra assignments. Made her stay late. Micromanaged her every move. Publicly humiliated her, just like she did to me for years. Only this time I was in control. Was it right? Probably not. Was it mature? Definitely not. Did it feel good?
You bet your sweet Bippy it did.
Some people say revenge is a dish best served cold. I say it's best served with a side of schadenfreude and a whole lot of petty satisfaction. I know. I'm probably going to hell for this. But honestly, I don't even care. She deserved it. Years of torment deserve something. And this was my something. So, Reddit, AITA? Probably. But I regret nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a performance review to conduct. Guess who's getting a less than stellar rating? Update. Okay, so things escalated. Tiffany quit. Called me a vindictive B***TH on her way out. Honestly, I was expecting it. But here's the kicker. She told everyone in the office why she quit. Told them about high school, about the bullying, about everything. Now, I'm the bad guy. My employees are giving me the side eye. HR wants to have a chat. My reputation is taking a hit. Maybe I went too far. Maybe I should have just let it go. Maybe revenge isn't worth it. But then I remember the years of torment. The feeling of being worthless. The constant anxiety. And I think, maybe, just maybe, it was worth it. Even if it cost me. I don't know, Reddit. I'm starting to question everything. Was I really the victim here? Or did I become the bully? I need a drink. And maybe a therapist. This whole thing has been a disaster. A glorious, petty, disastrous mess. Final update. So, I took your advice, Reddit. I talked to a therapist. Turns out, I had a lot of unresolved issues. Who knew? I also apologized to my employees. Explained my side of the story, but took responsibility for my actions. It wasn't easy. Some people were understanding, others not so much. But here's the thing, Tiffany reached out. We actually talked. Like really talked. Turns out, she's been carrying around a lot of guilt too. High school was a long time ago.
People change.
We're not best friends or anything, but we're civil. We even grabbed coffee. It was awkward, but also cathartic. I'm not saying everything is perfect now, but I'm working on it. I'm learning to let go of the past. To forgive.
To move on.
And you know what? It feels good. Really good. Maybe revenge isn't the answer after all. Maybe forgiveness is. Or maybe it's just a really good therapist. Either way, I'm done with the drama. I'm focusing on my company, my mental health, and my future. Thanks for listening, Reddit. And thanks for calling me out when I needed it. You guys are the best. Even when you're being brutally honest. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a company to run. And a life to live. But, plot twist. The story doesn't end there. Oh no. It gets better. Or worse, depending on your perspective. My half-sister, Chloe, as well. She's an aspiring influencer. Think makeup tutorials. Outfit hauls. The whole shebang. She's sweet, innocent, and trying to make it big. Emphasis on trying. And guess who suddenly slithered back into the picture?
Tiffany.
Freaking Tiffany. Apparently, Tiffany's been trying to rebrand herself. Lifestyle guru, she calls it. Gag me with a spoon. She saw Chloe's admittedly small following and saw opportunity. Tiffany's trying to weasel her way in. Using my sister for clout. Said she wanted to collaborate. Offer Chloe exposure. Yeah, exposure to her toxic personality. No thanks. The audacity. The sheer nerve. After everything she put me through? Now she's trying to leech off my family? Absolutely not. Nope. Shut that down hard. Mama bear mode activated. Chloe, bless her heart, was actually considering it.
She's naive.
Sees the best in everyone. Didn't know the full extent of Tiffany's awfulness. That's where I stepped in. I sat Chloe down. Told her everything. Every single
detail.
The passive-aggressive emails. The stolen ideas. The constant undermining. The blatant disrespect. I laid it all out. Chloe was horrified. Her eyes widened with each new revelation. She couldn't believe someone could be so awful. She seemed so nice on the phone. Chloe said, her voice trembling. That's her act. I told her. Don't fall for it. She's a user. A manipulator. She'll drain you dry. Then I did something I'm not entirely proud of.
But I stand by it.
I contacted Tiffany. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I was ice cold. Professional.
Deadly.
I told her, in no uncertain terms, to stay away from my sister. That if she so much as breathed in Chloe's direction, she'd regret it. I may have implied that I had dirt on her that I wouldn't hesitate to share. Okay, maybe I embellished a little. But the point got across. Tiffany sputtered. She tried to deny everything. Called me jealous. Said I was overreacting. You messed with the wrong family, I said and hung up. That was it. Or so I thought. Weeks went by. Silence. I started to relax. Maybe Tiffany had finally gotten the message. Chloe, bless her heart, was actually considering it. She's naive. Sees the best in everyone. Didn't know the full extent of Tiffany's awfulness. That's where I stepped in. I sat Chloe down. Told her everything. Every single detail. The passive-aggressive emails. The stolen ideas. The constant undermining. The blatant disrespect. I laid it all out. Chloe was horrified. Her eyes widened with each new revelation. She couldn't believe someone could be so awful. She seemed so nice on the phone. Chloe said, her voice trembling. That's her act. I told her. Don't fall for it. She's a user. A manipulator. She'll drain you dry. Then I did something I'm not entirely proud of.
But I stand by it.
I contacted Tiffany.
I didn't yell.
I didn't scream. I was ice cold. Professional.
Deadly.
I told her, in no uncertain terms, to stay away from my sister. That if she so much as breathed in Chloe's direction, she'd regret it. I may have implied that I had dirt on her that I wouldn't hesitate to share. Okay, maybe I embellished a little. But the point got across. Tiffany sputtered. She tried to deny everything. Called me jealous. Said I was overreacting. You messed with the wrong family, I said and hung up. That was it. Or so I thought. Weeks went by. Silence. I started to relax. Maybe Tiffany had finally gotten the message. Then I got a call from my old boss. He sounded amused. You won't believe this, he said. Remember that client Tiffany lost us? The big one. I did. It was a major screw-up. Cost the company a fortune. Tiffany blamed it on everyone but herself. Well, my boss continued. They just called. They want to come back. And guess who they want to work with? I had a feeling I knew where this was going. Not Tiffany, I said. Nope, he confirmed. They specifically requested you. Apparently, the client had heard about Tiffany's dramatic exit. They did some digging. Found out about her history. They were not impressed. They realized they'd made a mistake. They wanted someone reliable. Someone competent.
Someone like me. So yeah, karma.
It's a real thing. I got the client back. A bigger bonus than I'd ever gotten before. And Tiffany? She's still scrambling for followers, posting desperate videos that get, like, 3 views. Protect my family. Always. It's non-negotiable. And honestly, seeing Tiffany's downfall, knowing that her own actions led to her demise, it was satisfying. This whole saga taught me a few things. 1. Never underestimate the power of family. 2. Karma is a patient bee asterisk 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 asterisk. 3. Some people never learn. And 4. Don't mess with me. Or my sister.
So yeah.
That's the end of the Tiffany saga. For now, at least. I'm sure she'll rear her ugly head again someday. But I'll be ready. Because some wounds never truly heal, but sometimes, just sometimes, karma winks. And that's enough. Thanks for listening, Reddit. It's been therapeutic. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a bonus to spend. And a sister to spoil. What do you think of my story? Please drop your comment. If you enjoyed the story, like the video, share it, and subscribe for more Reddit stories. What would you have done in this situation? Let me know in the comments.